Hey everyone, welcome to Outsourcing and More. You're here again with,
I'm Francis.
and my name is Penny.
Good morning.
Morning.
Wait, do we say actually? You actually say good morning. Good day. Not even. Like, good day, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time you're listening to this. We are so happy to have you with us, and of course, I am so happy that we are alive after such a grueling
Yes.
weekend.
Yes.
Oh my God! Well,
It was
tell me,
fun though.
it was.
Yeah. So we met with a client of ours who's here in the Philippines.
Yeah, the first in a long while. So I want to
Yes.
give a quick shout out to Rachel. Thank you for such a fabulous night. We had the opportunity to wine and dine you, but you graced us with presents and so many stories.
Yes. So many stories.
I had so much fun. Like I didn't want it to end. And of course, quick shout out to Compass. Hello, guys.
Hey.
If you are listening, this one is what's not for you exactly. I mean, we're talking about a very, very different
Yes.
topic today. We mostly talk about outsourcing and the
Business.
business
Yeah.
surrounding it. Today we're moving on to a different topic. I mean, it's still very near and dear to our hearts.
Absolutely. Because we started
We
there.
started there. If you guys didn't know, of course, we started from the ground up. We were freelancers for a very long
Yeah.
time. I remember. No, wait, I don't remember. I always tend to ask you this question: when did you start going off on your own, being your own uh uh boss,
You mean
being a solopreneur
as a freelancer? I
as a
think I
freelancer?
started
Yeah.
2011.
Has exactly this? No, wait. Because I quit my last job at 2010.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah, and then I started working for my first contract, which ironically was a real estate gig. Yeah. And I was like, so I think just before 2011 hit, I already started working freelance, and if you guys are new or curious about starting out on your own, like what does it mean to be a freelancer? Like, you know, I think I'd be very
Yeah.
happy to start talking about how we got started. I mean, I'm sure it was different for you as it was for me. I mean, I guess it's a different story for everybody. You don't really just you know go online, apply for a job, and then like boom,
Yeah.
that's where you are. I mean, I had a lot of preparation.
You did. I knew someone who had an agency. So
Oh.
yeah, and I knew them uh in my previous job, like when I wasn't freelancing yet. And so they actually hired me without a lot of hoopla.
I Oh yeah, I remember why I said I started so much earlier. I created my first Odesk
Yeah,
profile.
Odesk, Elance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hello Upwork people. You were the people I love the best. You made me one of your top 20
Rated, yeah, yeah, and yeah.
freelancers. Yeah, so many years ago. But yes, for me it was different because I'm sort of the guy who does a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
I opened up an account 2009, and then I didn't. I could have started earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously I still had a job back then, and things were going well. I think it was one of those like little depression moments when you said, "I'm gonna look for a different job. I'm gonna start on my own." But for me, it was like 50 applications, so 49 heartbreaks before I got my
Got your
first job. Yeah. 49. Who applies for 49 jobs?
Why do you think you got that one job?
I don't know. I mean, he was one of those. I think at that time, if he was that person today, I would call that person woke. I can't remember his full name, Jeff. Jeff. That was my client. So he himself was a solopreneur because as a real estate agent, you're mostly working for yourself.
Yeah.
It sounded like he went through one of those workshops to become a very effective real estate agent, and one of them said, "Free yourself up by getting a virtual
Virtual.
assistant or an RE." I Was there a magic sauce? The first time around, I didn't know. The first time around, I had absolutely no
Yeah.
idea why I got the job. But you know what? This was me back then. Actually, you know what? I can't remember if I actually failed 49 interviews. I know I submitted 49 interviews, but maybe I went through
A couple. Yeah.
10 interviews maybe. But he was like the first one to say, I'm going to hire you. I'm going to work with you because you said you want to work with me. And that's when it started. Oh my God, it was just like $4.50. When I started out, became 5, 6. But I worked with him for a solid like 8 months. And then it was 4 hours a day. And then like right after my 4th month, all of a sudden I had 4 contracts.
Nice.
I loved going through the interview process. I think that was my favorite part of any job.
Is to go through the interview
Going
process.
through the interview process because you're like, hi, how can I impress you today? Anyway,
In that voice.
And that-
Was it in that voice? Maybe that
Maybe that's the secret.
Yeah, that's the magic sauce.
you know, we haven't even gotten to the topic.
I know. But I mean, fast forward now that we're actually hiring people or actually doing the interviews and not. What are the top reasons why people aren't getting hired?
Which is the topic. Like I said, we haven't actually gotten to the topic. The topic that we wanted to discuss today is, you know, like top reasons why you don't get the job. And we're not saying why you cannot get a job, but you know, when you come from an interview, sometimes you're feeling all great and
Yeah.
and I'm gonna get this. This is my dream job, and I am going to work for you, Mr. Company. And then all of a sudden you don't. And I guess for some people it's a question, right? You know, like, why didn't I get the job? You know. And sorry, what were you asking me what my top reason was?
What do you think?
What do I think? Well, see, in terms of going through an interview, I mean, it's never a done deal, right?
Yeah.
You could, you know, you could wake up and this is the day where I go through this interview and I am going to get this job.
I think, you know, part of this is actually applying for jobs that you're qualified for, that you have the skill set for. If not the skill set, the attitude for.
Yeah. I mean, and so we're talking qualifications. You're saying that
Yes.
you could.
I mean, right now, right? We're hiring people. When we interview a lot of people, and we go through a lot. I can't even remember what my number is when it comes to interviewing now. But no, we post
Sorry,
like
what's your number?
we post like qualifications or what
Yeah.
the requirements are, right? And the reason why we have why companies are coming up with this job descriptions and whatnot, because this is the type of person that they're looking for. This is what they think would be successful
For
in
the job.
for the
Yeah.
job. And so
And sometimes they become increasingly, you know, like you used to be just like, you know, what are your qualifications? 18 to 45 years old, at least high school graduate. I'm talking
What
about
type
a
of job
wanted
is
ad.
that?
crew. No, but you know, the more entry level the position is, you see less bullet points in terms of
Yes.
qualifications, right? So sometimes the more fine tuned you are to what you're looking for, sometimes the more
or they're more
bullet
specialized
points.
the job. Yeah.
You get so many more bullet points.
Yes.
Like, you know, you say you know, skill set is ideal but not totally required, and then sometimes it's like skill set for this is absolutely required, right? And then you have some people who are like, okay, I have 6 out of 10. I'll send my resume, and sometimes, you know, an employer is like, no, you gotta hit 10 out of 10, and more importantly, and here's where you want to look at your skill set, dear freelancer and solopreneur. How solid is your experience that you can fight it out, you know,
Yeah.
and stand out, you know, not be a.
I mean, even if you only pass like 6 out of 10, do you
Still-
have
still
an yeah.
depends. It's a chance.
Yeah. There's a chance, but
No,
you still
I'm saying it's a chance, but you know, when you're fighting in an area, a category, a job
Mm.
category where your skill set is a dime a dozen, it's kind of hard to stand out. You
Yes,
get what I mean,
exactly.
right?
Mm.
And in our case, when we do get a dozen applications in the first hour of posting a job, I mean, you don't have the time to interview all 12 people.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And the reality is sometimes you get 100
Yes.
and you have a limited amount of time to hire for people. I always say, let's go through everything, but it's just not
Yeah.
realistic.
It's not really
It's not. It's
realistic.
not realistic. People don't think that just because you submitted your application that people are going to look at it. Now, this is not a topic about how to make a great resume.
But
Maybe I don't know
mm,
yet. Maybe we'll get to that. But right now, it's not. Sometimes it's not a conversation about how what's in how
what should
to
you put in your cover, in your
yeah.
cover letter, or in your resume? What are the do's and
It's right
don'ts?
now
No.
how quickly can you check those boxes and say
Yes.
that you're qualified out of 100 people that you will stand out
Yes.
and be one of the top 10. And there is such a thing as shortlisting.
Yes.
That when you are pressed for time to hire for people, you want to get the 10 best
The
and
10 best and
hopefully
the 10 that actually has the qualifications that you posted in the job.
yeah. And is that a bad thing? You like maybe you let go of somebody who might have been the perfect
Yeah.
fit? Yeah.
I
But
mean,
those are the
that's
breaks.
always a possibility, but why would companies come up with a job description and then,
Hmm.
you know?
I mean, you could have been like, and that again, the topic of like being the hidden gem could be a
Yes.
topic in and of itself
Yes.
for a different time. But when you're trying to hit a hiring deadline, you really have to go with how well these candidates stand out from a stack
Yes.
of resumes,
Yes.
and then from there you shortlist, and then even then from shortlisting, it's sort of like it's like American Idol. You have to sort through so many
Up-
applications,
So many
shortlist them,
singers.
and then shortlist them, and then
Yes.
shortlist them again to come up
Yes.
with finalists. And even then, the problem is sometimes you have 10 great applicants, you can barely choose, right? I mean, if you're somebody who is more, like you fit the job, but you're more mediocre than the shiny resumes. Your hope is like that the first 10 won't make it, and then the hiring manager would look through the next 10 best, and then that's possibly where you would shine. But again, the problem is qualifications wise, you kind of don't want to waste your time, I guess. Like, why waste your time applying for a job that you might not even be considered for? I mean, go back to if you're applying for jobs with private companies, you don't have any idea where you are in the application route. Like, if you're in Upwork, at least you have an idea because you can see how many people
Yeah. Apply for
submitted
yeah. Yeah.
an application, or how quickly can the hiring manager get back to you and say, we're interested in interviewing you. If you don't hear back from them in a few days after submitting your resume or your application, I don't think there's any chance that they'll get back to you at all.
We're talking a lot about resumes, but I
Mm-hmm.
think we also have to talk about because sometimes resumes they say, okay, I have 2 years, BPO experience, right? But when you get to the interview, they're
With pride,
underqualified.
with pride, they say it with pride,
Yeah,
like, that's something to be proud of. Like, okay, I'm
but I
not
guess
bashing you, but
no. What we're getting at is yes, you have the experience, but sometimes when you get into the interview, you're unable to actually communicate what actually did you do in the BPO, right? Um,
wait, where are we? Are we still talking about qualifications?
yes, because we talked about resumes, and now like even during the interview, even if we like you look at the resume, okay, this person has 2 years in BPO, not that any of our job posts are like that, but 2 years in the BPO, and then
None,
you get
actually.
into the interview, right? But
So
then
are we
we're looking
moving to the
for
interview process?
no. I
Oh,
mean
okay.
yes, interview process like qualifying them through the interview process.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
So first we said maybe your qualifications are not there. I think that was a giveaway.
yeah, but
Obviously that's why people would fail. But say for example you do get through in terms of the resume and the application process,
Yes,
and you're
because
in front of
I
the
mean,
interviewer.
let's just say two people have the same resume, 2 years BPO experience.
Mhm.
One during the interview would say, "Oh, I just followed whatever my team lead said," right? The other would say, "I followed what my team lead said, but I think I suggested yada yada yada,"
Uh-huh.
right? And so both on paper would qualify.
Yeah,
But during the interview
I know that
process,
question.
yeah.
I
But
know the
during the
question. Tell
interview
me what you
process,
did.
yeah, yeah.
So what did you do during your time with Soul Company?
Yes.
Yeah.
So during the interview process, I mean, 2 years, yes, on paper, but really the skill set is
Mm-hmm.
also different. And what if the company that you're applying for is actually looking for someone who's gonna streamline or who's gonna contribute, right? So who would you go for? So one who would just be a follower or one who would actually contribute to
Like,
the
what would you choose? Plain bread or PB and J? But yeah, we just had this like very interesting conversation that ended up as examples plain bread and PB and J. But you're right. You're when you're looking for somebody, you're looking for somebody who would like, that you would fall for. Is that right? No, that's
Uh,
not the right word. That would pick your interest.
yes.
Yeah. And when you say your interest is picked because, you know, you're hiring, you want to be impressed,
Yes.
right? So when you hear somebody say, I answered the phones,
Yes.
I went to work at 9 and I went home at 5. I helped them with their technical problems. It's very different from somebody would say, I came to work and my job is to solve my customers' concerns, and what if, say for example, their internet is broken, I would tell them, I'm sorry to hear that. It must suck that you don't have internet. How can you watch Netflix without internet? Here, let's fix that problem
Or
for you.
even, I think I get impressed with, like, for example, I was awarded, like, top agent for, things like that. I mean,
Ooh, yeah. I mean, top agent.
or at least a contributor for
No,
the
top
team, yeah.
top agents are, like, obviously you rose above how many hundreds of agents in order to get that. Uh, Sometimes the question is how many times you were able to hit your top metrics. Sometimes it's a matter of statistics. Like every
Yes.
agent is almost always bound to hit top agent, at least in your team. That's statistics. So if you have one, maybe don't brag about it too much. But it's true. It's
But
true.
still,
The question
it's
is
still an
how often
achievement,
we're
Francis. Still an
like I
achievement.
said, statistics. But anyway, my
But,
point, if you rose to the top, yes.
yeah,
But what made you rise to the
the
top?
top.
Like, was it because of your attitude, perseverance? Was it your top score? I might be impressed. The question is, when you talk to me, what exactly are you trying to convey that will make your hiring manager say this is the right person for the job? And we have had maybe hundreds of conversations. If we're talking about the interview process, how somebody could successfully pass
Pass
the
it.
interview.
Yeah.
This is not a conversation about how to
Pass your.
how to pass your interview, because I would rather, because I can tell, that there are tells between people who went through a course on how to pass your interview.
Oh, because they use
Beca-
templates and they use.
because they use templates.
They
Wait,
use
wait, wait.
templates.
I
They use.
I saw your that application letter that said
My heart
my
leaped.
heart
I'm so sorry to whoever coached you,
whoever
but
coached you there.
we've seen that opening line hundreds of times. It doesn't
I
impress us.
I saw your
Okay.
application, and
I
when I
hope you
did,
didn't have a heart attack after your heart leaping like that. But
wait.
yeah,
Let me
we've
try to quote
seen.
it from memory. Dear hiring manager, I saw your job application, and when I did, my heart leapt. I felt like this is the right
That
job
job
for
for me.
me.
I'm sorry.
The
I'm so
author-
sorry if
it-
anyone of you has used that, but please stop
No, wait.
using it.
There was one time that was effective. That's very true. Because obviously,
It was novel. Yeah.
whoever was coaching you at that time used that, and it
It
worked to
worked.
their advantage.
Yes.
The problem is when it's all
It's
out
mass
there.
produced.
When it's mass produced, it loses its
Yes.
authenticity, right? And you kind of want to find a way to be genuine
Yes.
by yourself. The thought was there, not use that exact phrase. and that's and unfortunately that's really what separates wheat from chaff. That the person who coached that was wheat. The people who were following chaff. I mean, they
You're
could have
so
been
harsh.
they could have been wheat
Yeah.
because the idea is to find what's inside you that
Yes.
could that when you see a job application that is meant for you, that you're able to communicate your desire to to tell the hiring manager, "Okay, these are my words that I want my words to touch your heart. It's not the words were not it's not abracadabra."
Yes.
It's a key, it's an idea that you wanted to implement, and you
You
can
have to
see.
spin it off
Yeah.
or make it yours.
Make it yours.
I mean, even in interviews, right? You ask a question and you know that they Googled the answer.
And you get catchphrase.
Yes.
You get Google phrases, or like oh, the boom. Wait, no, let's not talk about that. But you're right. You know when that person is authentic, and we're not even talking about uh
Fluency or
yes.
we're not even
Some
talking
people
about
will
that.
call for fluency, and that's also the key reason why people have like face-to-face interviews or
Yes.
video interviews, because it's a
And
way to gauge how much fluency, or do you meet the right fluency level that the your client or the job is asking for.
yes.
And
And mind you, there are jobs that you can get even if you're not fluent in English, but there are jobs that require you to be fluent in
There
English
are jobs
because
that
you are
require.
going to be talking to English speaking
Yeah, I mean, if
customers.
the work is frontline
Yeah.
and you're adequately skilled, but what they're looking for is somebody with undetectable
Or native, almost native English speaking skills.
wait, there's always the question between, near native,
Yeah.
or at the very least a very neutral accent.
Yes.
And
So again, I mean,
that's just part of the equation. That's even just part of the equation.
Yeah.
So let's talk voice. At the very least, if you don't have an accent, see, when you say fluency is the ability to
articulate.
to
articulate.
articulate your thoughts, your words, what you mean to convey. It's not that you have a New York accent.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
it's
I'm
not that.
walking
That's
over
that's a very
here. Or that
totally
you can
different.
do,
Yeah.
that you can do a southern accent if necessary. I mean, it's fun, yes, if you can pretend on one call. But if it's not your accent, it's never gonna be your accent. You can just
Yeah.
do that for a certain period of time, but it's gonna slip. It's gonna slip regardless.
I think what they're also saying here is because we are like freelancers are mostly working with clients outside the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
And most of them do have English as their first language. Most of them, not all, because
Most.
there's a lot of people out there
Or
and
outside the
other
country,
countries.
but
Yeah,
they're not they're not American. They could
Yes.
they could be Asian for all we know. But if they're in the U.S., and that's their business. The idea is, can you communicate your
yeah.
thoughts
Can you understand?
succinctly?
Yes, because I mean, if I'm someone
Wait, let me
from
Google succinctly.
from the U.S. and whatnot, and I give you instructions, and you are having problems understanding what my instructions are, because
That is a problem.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem because even if we do this over and over, but you fail to comprehend what I'm saying, the job is not gonna get done right.
You might have the right skills.
Yes.
You might be perfect in terms of skill set, but if you guys can't communicate, and it could go either way. I mean, your English could be great, but if the boss requires a certain, like, if you say, for example, if your English is perfect and you talk really really fast, but your boss requires just a little bit of slowing down,
Yeah.
it might not be the right fit either. Oh.
Why?
I just realized that there were
Yeah.
times when I had to, like, "Hi boss, how are you today?" just to really slow it down because you'd realize you said something and
English is still regional. I would say it's still regional.
it's regional.
Yeah.
Universal is what
No, it's universal, but sometimes like the pace of talking, like even the accent, right? Sometimes it's regional. Well, no, the accent is regional. That yes,
virginal.
no, regional.
Wait.
No, no. What I'm saying is sometimes what you're saying. Sometimes you kind of need to slow down, even though they're English speakers. You kind of still need to slow down because sometimes that's not their first language either.
I mean,
right?
if you're used to talking to New York people, you could be talking 100 words a minute,
Yeah,
and that would totally not work if you're talking to somebody from Arkansas,
yeah.
for example. Yeah. But the genuine thing when we say interview and why you think you would fail an interview, I would first ask you to revisit your authenticity.
Yes.
I think that sums it up perfectly for me because I've been trying to find the right word on what would give you the best chance to pass an interview, who's face to face or written. Maybe maybe it's different when it's written because you can Google something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen an interview go through entirely through written anyway. At some point, you're gonna have to face your interviewer, an interviewer. The only thing I can say is like the times when I pass the best is when I'm most authentic.
Yes.
Is because I'm able to share my experiences. See, you know what? You know the problem. Why do I have scrunchie?
It's mine.
You know why I you've questioned some of my my
What?
line of questioning when it comes to doing interviews back when we used to do it together. I love throwing curveballs.
Yes, you do.
I love throwing curveballs because what I wanted to do is to break up somebody's train of thought because I don't want you in interview mode.
Because most of the time they will tell you what you want to hear as an
Exactly.
interviewer
You have
rather
your best
than
foot forward.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
of course that's
not
fair.
yeah, that's fair. Like putting your best foot forward is fair. That's what you're supposed to do in an interview, right?
Yeah, but come on, are you really telling me that you give 150% of your effort for a job that you work, if possible, 7 days a week? You're never late, never absent. Oh, jeez.
I think there's also like you also have to look at your own perspective, right? You are applying for this job, but they are looking for the right fit, but you're also looking for the right fit for you. So if you're not authentic
It's not
during
gonna
the
work eventually.
during the interview, it's gonna fail eventually. So be authentic. I think the other thing that we've seen in interviews as well is you're skilled, right? On paper, you have all the requirements that they were looking for.
Oh my god,
But
some
then
resumes are so shiny.
But no. We've seen this before. When we ask a question, it's like yes,
Yeah.
and it's like pulling teeth. My God,
I
you try to ask open ended, but it's like one liner, and we don't know anything about you.
I sometimes have to pull myself together for an interview because I'm not in the right mood, not in the right mindset. I mean, I know I have an interview, but you know what I have to do? Like, wake up, like flick yourself on the nose. You know what you have to do to get yourself ready, because I'm not gonna go into an interview saying, sorry, I'm not feeling well, but can we get on with the interview? No, you pull on your happy face and pull out your list of questions and be your best self even while you're doing the interview, because you can't do an interviewer a disservice by showing up not in the right mood.
Okay.
And then you get somebody who's like, okay, I'm not gonna give you a limit in terms of describing yourself. Just tell me about yourself and your day, and I basically have to cut off the last line and just say, impress me. I just say, take your time, tell me about yourself. I just want to break the ice, impress me, quote unquote.
So I have a question. There are people who aren't exactly extroverted or lively that's just not their personality.
Right.
So what are your tips for like introverts or timid people, like timid people during the interviews?
Okay, so first things first. You're not always looking for, a song and dance
Yeah.
number. Like, hi, welcome. My name is. I am here for your interview. I am here to impress you. No, not everybody's like that. God, would you imagine like you have a whole team of people like that? No.
Can you imagine doing back-to-back interviews of people
Of
like
people
that?
who are, I think it really did become just it really just became American Idol, didn't it?
Yeah.
But the point is, you can't expect everybody to come up with, to an interview with rah personality, because
Yes.
not obviously not everybody is like that. But I'm just going to come back. Timid doesn't mean that you're not gonna get the job.
Yes.
I wish timid wasn't the word that you are bringing with you to the table, and not the personality that you're bringing with you to the table, because when you're in a cutthroat industry, timid inevitably lands you somewhere at the bottom. You're gonna get passed by people who have stronger personalities, or uh, well, basically stronger personalities. The problem with timid will not fail you in terms of an interview. Uh, what Because essentially when you're doing an interview, you're going for substance,
Yes.
right? And sometimes it's being over the top can
Can
actually
also
fail.
backfire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, how can it backfire when you're just doing word vomit?
Yes. Long-winded answers that don't go anywhere.
And don't go anywhere. Sometimes it doesn't even answer the point.
I think what I will say about those kind of people is be very exacting or succinct
Succinct.
about
I
or
love that word.
concise about what your skill set is and what you bring to the table. You don't have to give me a novel of
No.
how you'll do it, right? You just have to give me a few examples of how you'll be able to contribute to the company.
Yeah, you know what's impressive? When you can say something concise, substantive, and you can get up the point across with brevity. See,
Yes.
that's three very big words that I love using. See, yes, sometimes it's fun to hear somebody passionate
Yeah.
just talk and express as much as they can because they're very passionate about something.
Yes.
But the thing is, when you're an introvert and you hate talking to people, when you hate people in general, you want to get over the interview as
Yes.
as quickly as possible, and in order to do that, yet maintain a level where you can get your point across.
Yes.
Brevity is necessary.
Yes.
And when you say, brevity, it's like using the least amount of words necessary to get the point across, but you're also using the strongest possible
Yes. The
combination
strongest possible combination.
of words. If you say, yes, I am very experienced with your software. In fact, it's the thing that I have used for the past 3 years, and I am a master of it. So, if you care to ask me or test me now, it's not arrogance. It's saying that I'm very confident with what I said, and I
Yes.
can back it up.
Yes.
Because sometimes that's the problem. And that goes back. That goes back. I will say time and again, if you're going to pass an interview, no, not, and this is not just passing the interview. It's like getting a life beyond the interview. You just have to be your most authentic self.
Yes.
If you're gonna be somebody just for the sake of the job, it will crash and
Yeah.
fail eventually.
Yeah. It's not going to be a right fit for you.
Yeah. I mean-
I always say this, like hiring is like a matchmaking thing. It's not
It
really
is.
me just hunting down for someone, but it's also you looking for something that actually fits you, because you're not gonna enjoy your job if you if you have to pretend to be rah 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 all the time. You're not like
Yeah.
that. You're
And
not
and
gonna
the
like it.
interview is just the first phase of the rest of your relationship. So if you're just if you're just there for the sex, the relationship is going to fail. No, bad analogy.
Well, not necessarily. Are we talking about relationships
We
now?
did say dates. You said relationship. Like if you're gonna
I
put your
said
best foot.
I said matchmaking, not.
But I think I will stand firm. I think it's the same analogy. If you're putting your best foot forward just to get into somebody's pants, but you're not interested in the relationship, then that's
Yeah,
the
it's
kind of
not.
interview
Yeah,
that you
okay,
mastered.
okay.
That's the kind of
Nice
interview you
comeback.
mastered.
Nice comeback. So we've kind of glossed over the resumes. I mean, we
We
kind of
did.
did talk about it a little bit, right? Like matching the job description if you have those set of skill sets in your resume, right? So that's one thing.
Yeah.
Don't give me a resume about, and this is just an example, okay?
Right.
Don't give me a resume about, let's say, might be a bad example, but that you've done, might be a bad example, but data entry, but what you're applying for is a dev job. It doesn't match. Or that's the first thing in your resume when you're applying for a specialized role. Why not put your
Oh.
most recent job experience as a developer or a QA or whatnot in the forefront
And
rather than
okay, so you're saying that you're because some people's resumes are pretty standard. Like
Yes.
if your voice or if you've done tier 2
Yes.
sort of work, you just put your job in order.
Yes,
That's what
in
you're
yeah.
in chronological order. Thank
chronological.
you.
Yeah.
But if you are, I hear what you're saying. You might actually get passed on for the job if
Because I mean, hiring people, HR people, they go through a lot of resumes.
yes.
So the soonest that they can see, oh, this person is qualified, and you put it in front of, I mean, even just with a cover letter, right? That you have XYZ experience, and it matches the job that you're applying for. It's an instant. Okay, who is this? Right? Rather than me going through, and this is one other example of a badly written resume, 3 pages of your resume.
Before you
and
get to the
before I
skill
get
set.
to the part of, oh, you have dev experience and you've used yada, yada, yada.
Oh, I love the resume that has 1/4 of the page with their face on it. I- Wait, no, that's
Oh my God, that's so big.
where
I
those-
just imagined 1/4
where do these templates come from? But
word.
no, but to your point, if you have become the sort of jack of all trades, that
Yeah,
you've sort of
it's okay
mastered
if you
a
put
lot
it
of things.
put everything in there. But if
But-
you're applying for a specific job,
Yes.
you want to put again your best foot forward. What's the most relevant?
I'm not even sure if that's the best foot forward. See, the thing is, when you're a jack of all trades, so you know how to do, say, for example, data entry, voice, chat, email. You also know
Sales.
how to do sales, marketing, and then you also know how to do social media.
Mm.
Social media?
Social.
Photoshop, But the thing...
Do you know those memes where they just pronounce everything in Filipino accent, how sexy it is?
Oh,
Yes.
deodorant.
Anyway, going back.
Going back, if you're applying for, and here's the thing, a very specialized social media position, because you need to be able to know how to do community management,
Yes.
posting, research,
Yeah.
and then the actual, like, the Photoshop part of resizing images, or maybe putting together images from scratch. You kind of want to pick those skill sets from your bag
Of tricks.
tricks, put them in front,
Front.
and say, my name is Francis Edward Ginto. These are my skill sets. You just, like, rearrange the bullet points and
Yeah,
bring them on
just
top.
rearrange it.
Yeah. What I don't like is people who delete work history because they're not relevant.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
I look at work history and say, why are there gaps?
Oh yeah. I understand.
Unless you hibernate every so often, there shouldn't be any gaps. Or at the very least, if there's a gap, then there's an interesting story to
Yes.
tell. Like, did you take a gap year
or did you
A
take care
sabbatical.
of your family?
Yeah, there should be a history about that. I don't. What I don't want to hear is because, I had a job that didn't relate to this position, and some people
Sorry, I
think,
just remembered something.
yeah,
Go ahead before I share my story.
maybe share your story now.
No, I once had an interview where we were going through her job
Yeah.
experience, and she was telling it through. So I left my boyfriend in 2009. So I left that
Okay.
job, and then I went to this job, and then I stayed there until X year because my boyfriend and I broke up. I was like,
Do you have a boyfriend now?
it was
Just-
it's just a weird interview. Like you
that's
know
how
your
every job. That's how every job ends.
and you remember your job based on your boyfriends. It's like,
Oh.
okay. But anyway, sorry, I was just
It jumps
yeah,
out.
it just
The
triggered me
memorable-
because
the
of the
memorable
work.
interview.
Yeah,
The
because of the
memorable-
work experience thing.
They jump out regardless.
Yeah, so anyway,
It would
sorry.
always be a story.
I'm so sorry
I
to
mean, don't-
whoever you are if you're listening.
I mean, if you're listening,
Maybe change.
stop having boyfriends.
If it's
If
like
you're going to be successful at your work, stop having boyfriends or get married. Freak. Sorry, where were we?
no, deleting or having gap years in the
Oh
resume.
yeah.
Mm.
So there's a trick to having a gamut of skills.
Yes.
You want to put them all, but you also want to put them in order in such a way that, because the thing is, if you know how to do one thing, the rest are bonuses.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you'll never know when your
Yes.
client would say, okay, this is what I needed you for. And
Yeah.
they're going to look at the rest of the bullet points and like, ah.
Oh.
He also knows how to do this.
Mm.
Phone sex. Oh, that's an interesting skill set.
Why are you going there?
I don't know where my mind is today.
I know we've had a busy weekend, but come on, rein yourself in.
I was watching Working Moms. No, this is very true. Like, I was watching Working Moms on Netflix yesterday. I was like, and they were like, so this one of the characters ended up putting up her own startup, which is I like that. But her assistant does cold calls. But the thing is, it gives her confidence to use a phone voice.
That's
like,
that's very common.
oh yeah.
And you were triggered about.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't. I'm fully in. I was fully immersed with the episode. But she was like, the woman's husband comes home and the girl, the secretary was like, oh yeah, that works for you. Okay, I'll schedule you at Thursday 7 p.m. All right.
Can you do that
awesome."
again?
No, but I mean, she was obviously doing that, like, that kind of voice, because she said, was like, it gives me confidence to use that voice when doing cold calls. Like, okay, that works for you. Anyway,
But yeah, just going back to this point about
I don't know where we
putting
went there.
about putting everything in your resume, whether it's relevant or not. But what I'm saying is just put it in the forefront. But what you did say is that
You also
everything
don't need
that
to
are
delete.
bonus, the other
Oh.
things are bonuses, because sometimes some clients will see in your resume, oh, she has experience
could
with this,
use her for-
and my team, like for example, actually with you.
Mm-hmm.
With you, I was looking for someone who was actually good at training.
Oh.
Yeah. So even if you at that time it was tech support, right?
I didn't actually have a lot of tech support that time.
Yeah. But and I've hired people because my team needed like for example, my team needed someone who's a little bit more technical, like higher technical skills than most, or for example new Google I don't know Google Excel, and because we needed some reporting done, and that was one of my weaknesses back then. So it's a plus. It's not in the job description or whatnot, but if you put it in your resume, I mean, why not, right?
You'll never know which one of your additional skills might be the one that makes it the deciding factor in the hiring decision. So even if even if it's a very specialized job, if they're looking for somebody who, say for example, is graphic, artist.
Yes.
And you write all of your graphic artist skills, but it
Yes.
also turns out that you did social media work,
Yeah.
and it also turns out that the client is hiring for both positions. And
Yes.
she might consider you for both jobs if you're capable of doing it, and just give you a raise. Just give you a raise.
Yes.
You'll never know. But
What do you feel about just the resumes? Because I've seen this before. Having the DICSC profile, the disc profile. Like, are you
what now?
controlling? Are you impulsive?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh,
That kind of
I am the
tests.
INTJ or
Yeah.
whatever.
What do you feel about people putting those in the
It's
resume?
the same way I feel about people who talk about their zodiac signs.
Well, yeah.
I don't care for
yeah.
it too much. Wait.
Do they have to put it in there? Because sometimes, there are companies who would actually require you to go through a personality test. There are companies like that, and it's not
I
necessarily
probably
because
need to pull back on what I said. I just remembered. Personally, don't care for it, but I do remember what you said. The personality test. Okay, I am going to do an actual 360. It's not the same way how I feel about zodiac
Zodiac.
signs. They're not flimsy. Sorry. I can't remember all of them. So not being an actual recruiter, I don't I haven't put much faith into talking about your personality and how that works. And like how I don't know. What did they say? Like, I'm a good worker but borderline psychopath. Is that how it works? No.
I think so.
I work best under pressure but not under I cannot work under a stress-free environment. Is that's how it goes, right? It lets you know what kind of personality they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, but
But tell me how it works for you.
No. Resumes like that. It was surprising at first. But
Because
I
it started
do.
popping out.
Yeah, it started popping out with all the graphs and everything, right? Like
They started having
design.
those graphs too.
Yeah.
Design skills 5, 4.
Yeah. I don't know. It's to make the resume stand out. I understand that. You wanna. I mean, if you're applying for a graphics design, you might as well do that, right? But
Is
but
it though?
but if it jeopardizes the substance that we've been talking about
Mm-hmm.
for your resume, because all of this
It
other
becomes
things that you're
just becomes a
putting-
weekly business review report.
then if it jeopardizes the substance because this specific part, the disc profile or whatever, is taking real estate from your resume, then just take it off. I'd rather see what you're capable of, what your previous job experience are, if you've gotten achievements, awards, or whatever, rather than this is my personality.
I agree. I'm just gonna suddenly popped into my head. It's not a reason to fail the interview, but you know how we always talk between ourselves the term right fit. Some people will fail the interview not knowing how badly they did because they thought they did their best, and they may have actually done their
Yeah.
best. And you know how a lot of these interviews are not right or wrong answers. We just
Yeah.
want to hear again your authentic answer.
Yes.
And but I hope you won't. Some people say I hope you won't get offended, but I can't work beyond 40 hours. Just honesty, just also being authentic, and it's not a reason not to get hired. People, that's the truth. But you know how some people are like, they're not the right fit, and then sometimes that's the reason that you get when you don't get hired. But what exactly do you understand about right
Right
fit
fit. Me, right fit, apart from the skill set that's required,
or fit and
is
right?
the skill set that's required. Is this person gonna fit my company culture? I'm very big about that because if you're someone like for example, I'm a startup, right? But you're someone who works best being given structured instructions. You know who
Guidance.
guidance, training, and you need someone higher up to kind of tell you what to do or what not, and you only want to do this specific thing, but you're working for a startup. That's not gonna fit.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. So that for me is right fit.
Wait, why won't it work?
Because
I might as well like pull it out of you
yeah,
because you're You sound like you have a ton more words
Yeah.
inside of you.
No, startups are. You wear a lot of hats,
Yeah.
especially with like early in the
Early
early
on, you
days
could be
of
you
startups.
you could be asked to do lead generation one
Yeah.
moment, and then you're being asked to call those
Yes.
leads, and then after that you're being asked to email people. The job description could vary so much that by saying multi-talented or the words rock star is actually an understatement when
Like
it comes to
it's the same. Like what I'm also getting at is there are people who have to be told what to do, and that's not necessarily bad, but they have to have structure that 10 a.m. we do this, yada yada yada. And there are people like, oh, this is your task for the day. You manage yourself. Not everyone can
these are
self
the
manage.
no sometimes these are the goals for the week.
Yes,
Manage
and
yourself.
then yeah, true.
And that's entry level.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I've seen entry level work that said these are your tasks for the month. Maybe for the week, yes. But yeah, if you can't be self managed, work with little supervision, little to no supervision, but still get the job done, you probably won't strive. You probably won't shine in a position where you require constant updates or head pats maybe. And again, that's not wrong because there are some jobs where you are monitored to the brink of death. You are ox 4, ox 3. Some people are okay with
yeah.
with the routine. I go to work at
Yes.
8, I take my first break at 10, and then I come back 8:15, I take my lunch at 12, come back at 1. That's going to be and then day in and day out,
And they're okay with that, and
yeah,
they're perfectly happy
you're
with that.
filing paperwork or you're answering calls. um they're perfectly okay with that. But are you a doer?
Anyway, just to wrap this up, I know we've kind of went, a little bit over all over the place about the resumes, what to put in there, and making sure that what you're putting in there is,
Right.
exactly what you're applying for.
No,
Right?
that one last point that we can make about this, which goes back again to the word authenticity, is don't write anything in your resume that is not 100% a reflection of yourself.
Yes.
Because especially in the age of social media, people can check you out. People can
Yes.
dox you. Is that the words that these young ones use nowadays?
You always have a digital footprint.
You always have an online footprint. Yes, your footprint will tell you exactly. If you try to apply for a company who says they're very conscious about leaving carbon footprints, and
Yes.
then
And
you
you
show up,
printed. You printed.
and your online footprint is very much the opposite. You can say, "Oh yes, I care for the environment," and then you just do the obvious opposite. Or
Like
if
you say
you're
you're a vegetarian, but then you have a photo in your and a photo in your Facebook eating a burger.
yeah.
I'm just
It's
that's
so easy to
Yeah.
check you out these days, and that's why I don't post anything on Facebook.
me too. Not anymore.
No, it's true. I mean, I see at this point, you either have thoughts that you need to express,
Yes.
but when you are reckless in terms of your social media, or your online presence, it's gonna get caught.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, you own up to it.
Yeah. Yes.
because
Yes.
because now it's
because-
actually part of some of the hiring processes
Yes.
now.
Check
You hire
social
them
media.
and then you check out their interest,
Yeah.
their Pinterest, their Instagram, their what? Where are you pointing? What?
You do that. Oh, but yeah, no.
No, I googled the LinkedIn.
We understand that social media, it's your personal life and whatnot. We absolutely understand that. We've posted things about our families in social media and whatnot. But if you're going to go into an interview and say
am
something that's
this.
otherwise shown in your social media, then you're in for an awakening.
Yeah. You just can't lie anymore. I mean, you've seen all of those scandals involving politicians and whatnot. It happens. The things, the same thing happens. With corporations nowadays, or in terms of employment. So again, just going back, I will wrap this up because I think we've gone
Yeah.
on a hair. Why won't you get the job? It can really be summed up for two things. You're either not qualified in terms of the job post that you're applying. When you say that you're not qualified, it's either you're too little skilled, or sometimes maybe you're even you're overqualified. And sometimes companies can't afford to hire people who are overqualified because you can't afford attrition when you finally find the
Yeah,
job that
finally,
you're
yeah,
qualified for. You fail the interview because you're either not prepared, you didn't impress your interviewer enough. When I say impress, we talked about
But
that
yeah,
extensively already.
yeah, authenticity and
Or
yeah.
you weren't authentic enough for your interview. And again, at the end of the day, everything literally falls into the authenticity part.
I would say
But
authenticity and right fit.
and right fit, yeah. And and when you look at it this way, if you are confident skills wise, and that you gave your 100% authentic self during the interview, and you still
It's-
don't get the job, it's just the right fit. The great thing about a lot of companies these days is that they say that you're not the right fit at this time, and that maybe that you're already everything that you could be. Then it's just a matter of finding the right company. What you should be doing, as in closing, as much as possible, because you're freelancers, you're solopreneurs, you're responsible for your income day in and day out, year in, year out. Don't be caught in a situation when you finally find yourself desperate to accept any
Any job,
job.
yeah. Yeah.
Don't put yourself in a position where you cannot afford to not get this job because it's right there.
Yeah.
And you need the money that job will afford you.
Yeah.
It's a death trap. Trust me. So, I guess that's my ending piece. What's yours?
No, I absolutely agree with everything that you said. I mean, even with us when we're hiring, and you're saying it from the freelancer perspective, but even us with hiring, it's a lot about right fit. And did we get something out of you during the interviews and in your resume? Did we are you what we're looking for? And sometimes when you said about the right fit, not us not hiring them, but they showed the right skill set, they did great in the interview. Sometimes it's also just not right now.
Yeah.
But
But
we'll,
we might want you.
yeah,
in a
and
different-
we've done this a lot of times, like not right now, but a few months down the road, we actually got
We-
back
we
to them
might-
and
yeah.
and hired them.
I'm sorry,
right?
we might actually like you, but we just happen to like somebody more at this time.
At this time.
There's always
And
that.
we only can hire one, right?
Or two.
Yeah. So yeah.
In closing,
I think,
again, in
No.
closing, again.
again, in closing again. No, but thank you so much for listening, for tuning in to our podcast, Outsourcing and More. This again has been Penny and Francis.
Please make sure to follow us wherever wherever we're available, social media wise. We try to be our authentic selves. So please like and subscribe. And we will see you on our next episode. Bye.